today, what we're in the shed for is something that I probably should have done a long time ago, and I'm really excited to get it done. A full custom detailing pressure washer setup in order to detail all the cars. I want to be able to pull just a hose out, spray the car off with foam, rinse it off, and that way we're going to keep the cars clean. We're going to have a degreaser set up. It's kind of basically like your car wash, but you're not going to pay for it. Well, you're paying for it, but you're not actually putting a dollar coin in to pay for it. Chiefs have gone ahead and supplied pretty much the bee's knees when it comes to pressure washing and foaming. Now this here is a 4-barrel selector. So we can run 4 different chemicals and just twist this around in order to pick which one we're doing. So we can have like a degreaser, a truck wash, a ceramic coat stuff, you know, and one left over, whatever. But we've also got these stainless steel container holders, so we can have 5-litre drums stacked in here. And then we've got our foamer mixer gun. So this is a mixer that will come foam out of that one and then high pressure out of that. So you don't even have to change anything except for that middle section in order to draw soap through. It is a little bit confusing and hard to explain, but it is really cool, and I'm keen to show you guys this, which is why I'm filming it. What I need to do first though is get the pressure cleaner up on the wall. I have already gone ahead and put some stud angle brackets into a stud, kind of stuff that up, but I put some angle brackets onto the wall. That's where the pressure cleaner is going to sit. Now my last job was fixing pressure cleaners, and this old girl was one that I fixed up. It did fall into a pool, and as you can see, it's got a lot of corrosion on it, but I disassembled the whole motor and I put some new bearings in it and I got it to work. The pump itself is fine. It's an interpump, which is a really good XXX pump, and everything has been tested. It now works. And then this is the cool part. I've got a hose reel, and I've got about 20 meters of hose on my petrol pressure cleaner, which we're going to reuse. But I want the hose reel mounted about there somewhere externally on the shed. But yeah, when all this is mounted up, it's going to be pretty cool, and we'll have a little detailing section right here and be able to smash the cars out and get them clean. Look at Diesel right now. He is absolutely just bloody chilling. You all right, bud? That looks very uncomfortable, but if you like it there, you can stay.
Righto, first job was modifying the base plate so I could mount the pressure cleaner that I just rebuilt. Bit of mucking around here, but nothing too major. I just wanted to get it sitting right. Once that was sorted, I fitted up the foamer from Chiefs, and I'm keen to see how this thing performs. I reckon it'll make the job a lot easier. Next up, we're moving on to the hose reel on the outside of the shed. I did have to use riv nuts on one side and bolts on the other, but it worked out spot on. It's solid, it's neat, it's not going anywhere. Then I threw in the chemical trays. It's a handy spot for them, keeps everything in arm's reach, and it's nice and tidy. And with everything bolted down, it was time to fire it all up, give it a test, and yep, it works a treat. Pretty happy with how it's come together.
Right, it's working good, so all you do is twist that now, and then select what foam you want, wait for it to come through. Twist it back, and we get pressure. We can rinse it off. So guys, as you can tell, it's dark right now. It was a little bit of work, but well worth it. We've got the 4 chemicals down here. So we've got Platinum Plus, which is what we're using in our Foam Life kit. So this is going to be my main wash. So that is a huge tick of approval. We've got our own detailing bay. Now, Chiefs Australia supplied most of the stuff there, all of the foam stuff. If you guys want to check them out, we will also have our Foam Life kits on the website. They should be up now, but if they're not, they won't be too far away. And it's exactly the same as that, except it's just in a foam bottle, but you will get the same result. You just have to pop the foam bottle out and go back to a nozzle. Right, now it is the next day and it's time to get Ron Burgundy finished up. Pretty much laid everything out on the table in order to get this thing on the road. First thing I'm going to start with is the shock reservoir mounts, because they're just dangling down at the moment. So these two here, they're actually designed to be bolted in under the tow bar, but I'm going to do it cheats way and I'm going to weld these on and get them painted. Now before we do that, I'm going to go ahead and paint the chassis rails. Now I'm using the Car Builder's Tough Texture coating.
I'm not going to spray it on just because it makes a mess in the shed. It was something that really needed to be done before the suspension went in, but I am going to be trying out using a roller and paintbrush, just some house stuff that we have laying around. This needs to happen before the bar work goes on because otherwise you just can't get to those spots. So these brackets here are designed to be bolted up underneath there, but I'm actually going to weld, not that one, I'm going to weld that right there like that, and then that way we can mount this reservoir up there and we can easily adjust that, and then the bar work will be protecting it. Now I know some of you guys are against Temu, but I got these little drill pads off Temu and they're going to be perfect for prepping this because I won't get a grinder in there. Now I want to quickly show you guys a way that literally anyone can weld. This only kind of works for the thick steel. I mean, it will work for thin steel too, but we're welding quite thick steel. What we want to do is turn the heat right up on the welder. So to keep things simple, just think of your voltage as heat and your wire feed speed is just to get it consistent. So you don't want it like spitting at you. So I'm going to turn the wire feed speed right up and the heat right up. So that is quite hot right now. That's probably set up for about 8mm plate. But because I'm not going to be doing a consistent weld down or cross, we're just going to be doing spot welds, which looks really good. It's not the right way to do it really, but it is very strong. And if you get them hot enough, they look really good. So doing it that way, you get a pretty neat result, and like literally anyone can do it. It's just like tap, 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 tap down. I'm gonna get the wire wheel out and just buzz over it one more time, and then I can go ahead, mix up some paint and get that dirty chassis painted. Before any paint goes on, I've got to sort the chassis and the diff. If you skip this point, the paint's not gonna stick and you'll be back under here in no time. So I've been on the wire wheel, knocking back all the old grime and surface rust. It is a bit of a mission, but if you want the paint to actually work and stop the rust, you've got to put in the time. Of course, halfway through, I found even more dirt tucked away, so I've got to fire up the new pressure washer setup we just mounted and give it a proper blast. Got to be spotless, otherwise the paint won't stick. Got Ron Burgundy up on some jack stands. I've taken the rear tires off. It's just gonna make it much easier to get in there. But the chassis is in pretty bad shape, as you can see. The diff, all that sort of stuff, the brake calipers, the wheel arch. I wanna get all of that in a nice black. There was just so much grime and build up on it. I would be shocked if someone had washed it even once in its life. Right, so like I said, I'm using the Tough Texture Coat from Car Builders. This is an underbody spray. You are meant to spray it on. So I don't know what result we're gonna get because I'm literally using a paintbrush and I've got a roller and this is left over from our house. So we're gonna see how this goes anyway. This stuff is super thick. It's really gonna protect the chassis and the diff and all that. And I've already sprayed the front diff in a 2K like enamel, so the front diff's already done. It's just the back diff and the fuel tank and everything at the back. All right, that's the brake caliper pretty much done. Now I'm going to give up here a whirl with the bigger brush. It is starting to build up a skin already, so it dries really, really fast. So I'm keeping it out of the sun, but time to do all up in there, the whole chassis, the diff, the fuel tank, the whole lot. It is definitely going to take a while, so I'll see you guys in a bit.
Overall, manually painting this on wasn't too bad. It took a bit longer, yeah, but you save time not having to mask everything up. I used the paintbrush for all the nooks and crannies, and then on anywhere that was flat, I used the roller, and it actually left a really nice texture. Honestly, I reckon it looks pretty sick.
you reckon, Diesel? Looks pretty good. Not bad. It is now the next day. The paint is all dry and it looks really good. I mean, it looks honestly 1,000 times better than what it was. Is it the best result? Probably not. Spraying it would definitely look better, but I wanted to do it this way just to see what happens. And it turned out pretty good. I'm pretty stoked with it. Got the chassis all the way done right up to the front. Got the diff done, got fuel tank all at the back. See the tow bar and everything there. That is all looking mint. It is still a messy job, I'm not gonna lie. I don't think I avoided the mess, but I did avoid getting paint on the suspension, which was the main part. Actually, with my GU, what I did is when I bought it, it had all the stock suspension in it. I just sprayed the whole car, barely masked anything up. I think that's the way to do it. And then if you're gonna put suspension in, you can do that after. Right, so now that that's painted up, I can go ahead and install the dropout cones and the coil retainers. We also got some bump stops here that need to go in the back as well. So I was leaving all this out so I could get the rear painted. Now I've got to put it in.
Right, Harry's just turned up at the right time because I need help getting these retainers in.
What's going on, guys? Harry here. So when you got a GQ Patrol and you got long arms and you're a big flexy boy, these old dropout cones will help your coil seat up when you go full flexed out. And a retainer will hold your spring in so it doesn't pop out on the track.
I don't know what I was thinking then, but this goes on top of the coil tower and then this goes up through it. But in order to get that in, you've got to take the coil out, which I typically use my engine crane, but Harry's got my engine crane. I can't even put this in yet, but I can do the retainer at least. And where is it even worth doing the retainer? Then you can't pull the coil out. Probably can't do any of that. I can just do the bump stops. Shiitake happens. They're loose. This whole car, every bolt has been loose, so like it hasn't snapped one bolt, this car. It's actually unheard of, to get this out that easy. All right, so that's the old bump stop, like that. Tiny little triangle piece of rubber. And then these are the new Superior bump stops. I think they're a plus 80 mil. That goes on like that and bolts to the chassis. The difference between that and that, this actually flexes, compresses. Is rock hard, this thing. You could literally use that as a mallet. 80 mil bump stops is because I got a 35-inch tyre, so you want it to bump before the tyre hits here. You also want it to bump before the actual shock gets fully compressed, because if the shock gets compressed all the way and that is your bump, you'll end up destroying the shock. If you hit the guard, you end up destroying your guard. So bumping a car is actually extremely important to do it right, but the good thing with Superior is they've worked everything out with patrols and they recommend the 80 mil because they've measured it all up and it checks out.
Some repeat other side.
Man, these are like literally rocks, compared to these. I always say this, but if you don't have a set of long spanners and you're working on patrols, you need to get a set. You try to crack these bolts with a little ratchet like this, it's just so hard. You gotta get some tools, man.
That's a new t-shirt. On the back, you gotta get
some tools, man. But every time I go to Harry's, I get so frustrated with him working on his car because he doesn't have any tools. So we've got a running joke in the family that's, gotta get some tools, man.
Diesel, man, you gotta get some tools.
You can't do it, man, unless you get some tools. Right, wheels and tyres are on, bump stops are in. Can't do the dropout cones retainers. I'm gonna get the bar work on now. The sliders are still hanging up in the carport, so get the rear bar on, go get them off and fit them up. They are a bit of a pain just with the trailing arm. I do have to drop it. Now, I did have to move the reservoir mount just to above that bracket. I don't know if you guys can see, because it was sitting a bit too low and I just needed to shift it so it sat in that gap there. Before it was actually hitting this bar, I sort of mismeasured where that needed to be, but it worked out anyway.
Now the bar work's finally going back on after painting it, and I'm pretty excited to see it all coming together again. It's always a good feeling when you start bolting things back on after a big job like this one. Feels like progress. I'm also fitting up that spare tyre swing away that I modified for the back, which finishes it off nicely. It's really starting to take shape, and I reckon it's going to look even better once it's all buttoned up.
Right, that's the bar work done. I've tightened everything up. It is feeling absolutely solid as a rock. Man, the back of this thing actually looks so good with that thing modified and all the bar work tidied up. I've always wanted scrubbies on a wagon, like I really wanted to do it on the GU, but I'm so glad we waited for it to be onto the GQ, Ron Burgundy. Now we're getting very close to having this thing on the road. I need to start thinking about what needs to happen in order to get it on the road. I've got these rubber flares and they are going underneath like that. In the rear, I am still missing a piece. Actually, I think it's it's right here. This piece here, it needs to get mounted up under there, kind of like that. But when I painted this, it just did not turn out great. I'll show you guys. You can see all that texture on there. It just does not look great. So I'm gonna have to respray those. So between coats on that, I kind of want to figure out where I need to cut this so I can use a little bit of that paint and touch up the areas that we cut. You can kind of see what needs to come off. It's that section there because this part of the tire comes in contact with here and it just munches it. So I'll find a reference point. I might even use that bolt there and then measure out from the bottom, say 30 or 40 mil, and then just draw a line down there and kind of just see how that looks. So I measured 40 mil at the bottom and you can kind of see that line works out in line with the brush bar now anyway, so that's probably a good starting point. I'm going to cut that and just see how it looks and then I'll go from there. Had to take it a little bit higher because it just looked a bit weird. It had like a bit of a curve there, but I think that looks pretty good and we have gained about 40 mil across the bottom there, so big gains in terms of clearance, but doesn't look too bad as well. I don't know if I want to cut this front section here. It feels like it needs a cut right across there, but if I cut it, then I won't have that shoulder to mount the flare to. So I'm kind of in two minds about it. Like I want to do it, but at the same time, I know it's going to stuff me over. What do you reckon? Just a little one like that, just to neaten that guard up a bit. You know what? I'm going to send it. Right, that's both sides cut. We've got much more clearance and I think that overall just looks a lot better in my opinion. So you got that side and then if you check out this side just kind of looks weird, and then this side we were definitely hitting right about there when I was turning. You can even see the mark there, so we definitely needed to cut it. Don't know about the front bit, but I think it looks better. I did also just go and do another coat on the flare, but I'm going to quickly cut this side now and then get it all painted. So the whole time I was planning on using these rubber flares here, and they are a really good option and it would look pretty cool being up there. But I do have the factory flares here, and although they do need repainting, and I probably should have just painted these yesterday because I had leftover stuff. Obviously we've cut the guard, so we're gonna have to cut these to suit. But I think that painted is probably gonna look the best at the moment. I mean, we won't know until we try it, but I'm gonna start by cutting these up, and then if they look good, we can go ahead, sand them, get them in paint and get them mounted up. Well, I think that is pretty good, to be honest. Like it's not the prettiest thing in the world, but I think once it's painted and all blended in, I think that's going to look good. It's obviously mainly just to cover that top section up. We probably will get a bit of mud through here and we might be able to make a bit of an ABS plastic thing that bolts to the slider. But for now, that is going to keep it legal, and pretty stoked with how that looks. So for the rear, I am going to have to fit this section here because the flare kind of runs down somehow like that. And I'm probably going to have to cut the bottom section of this because I know that's going to stick out too far and the front of this tyre. When it flexes up, we'll definitely hit that. I'm also thinking about cutting this back section off here as far back as I can until I hit the quarter chop. And yes, it definitely would have been a lot easier to do this prior to painting, but sometimes you don't know about your angles and your lines until you get all the bar work fitted up. So I'm going to use that excuse. Right, that's the rear pretty much done. I think that looks really good. It's cut off at a nice height. I don't think the tyre is going to contact that. By the time it flexes up, it goes in on an angle, but we can make adjustments on the track if we need to. Now the hard part is I've got to imitate that exactly on the other side. It's a little bit tricky to mark, but how I'm doing it is just by holding them together. So obviously they're mirrored. I can get a estimate of where the lines go. I mean, it does not have to be perfect, but I just reference that point right there, reference the shoulder point there, and then marked across from there to there. And that seems to be looking pretty much exactly the same. Like you can tell there, when that's cut, it's going to be identical.
I've been fitting up the rear flares and marking everything out for the cuts. It's always a bit of a juggle though, trying to find that sweet spot where it still looks good but actually works good off-road too. Off camera, I did spend a fair bit of time tweaking things and making sure that it all sat right. And now that I'm happy with it, it's time to get some paint on it. Going with a medium wet coat to start, then finishing it off with a heavier coat to give it a nice flat finish. While the paint's drying in the sun, I thought I would check the wheel clearances just to make sure that everything that we cut and have clearanced is going to work at full flex. It's a little bit tricky doing this here in the shed with the jack, but it's still pretty cool to see the car flexing up at all.
Right, I've got the flares all done and I've just got them literally drying right there on the shed floor, trying to catch a little bit of sunlight, but I figured that I would go ahead and jack the car up and just make sure all the fender gaps and everything that we've been cutting is going to be right. How crazy does that actually look? And it's not even close to being maxed out. We can go a ton more. It's not even on the bump stop. It's still got like at least an inch before it even touches the bump stop. I don't know if you guys can see that. We've definitely gained some clearance here, and same with the front section right there. I think that's going to be perfect. Up on the front, you can see we cut like 40 mil off, which was coming to about here. So we definitely would have been rubbing up the front. So now we've got a nice angle and tons of clearance. And then at the front section, that would have came to probably about here. It might have contacted eventually. I don't think so. Maybe, but I think that looks a lot better anyway. It's just so crazy to see Ron Burgundy finally get flexed up. I haven't really seen it. We did a little bit when I did the suspension, but nothing as big as this. And it's not even close to being maxed out. It's actually going to be so cool taking this thing off road for the first time. Right, so I'm actually going to end the episode here. We made a ton of progress on the car this week. I was about to say weekend, but this week, my first week being full-time on YouTube. It's so refreshing being in here and not stressing about just getting a video out because I only have 2 days to film. I've literally done 4 days now. We've cruised, we've got a ton of progress done. Typically that would take 2, maybe 3 weekends just to get done. So I'm glad that we're going to be finally on schedule. It will take me probably a little bit just to get into the swing of the new way that I'm going to be filming, but we will get there. Thank you guys for all your support, especially in that last episode. I really appreciate it. I'll catch you guys on the next episode. We should be taking Ron Burgundy for a drive then. I know I kind of teased it in this episode, but I promise in the next episode, I'll be at least taking it for a drive. I'm not sure how long or if we're going to make it, but we will at least drive it.